Where the pen leads, musings in the space between. Today, I want to talk a little about the drawings I made for the first 2 episodes. In episode 1, I drew a torii gate. A torii is a traditional Japanese gate that marks the entrance to a sacred space. Many people recognize torii as something you see at Shinto shrines. They are most commonly found there. But torii are not limited to shrines alone. You can also find them at mountains, forests, coastlines, or other places believed to be connected to kami, or spirits. In a way, a torii also works as a boundary that separates the ordinary, everyday world from a sacred one. When you pass through it, you are crossing into a space where kami are believed to be. In Japanese thinking, kami are not gods in the Western sense. They are spirits inspired by nature, present in trees, mountains, rivers, and many other places. In that sense, kami are everywhere. If you've seen the movie Spirited Away, you might remember the scene where many kami come to the bathhouse to wash away the pollution they picked up from living alongside human beings. By the way, in Japan, bathing has long been associated with purification and cleansing, both physical and symbolic, is an important part of everyday life. Growing up in Japan, I went to shrines almost every New Year, usually during the first week of January. It was something we did. We went to pray for the year ahead, and it felt like a natural way to mark a new beginning. I should say that I'm not a religious person in the way many might think, and I wouldn't really call myself spiritual in the Western sense either. Still, when I thought about what I wanted to draw for the very first piece on this channel, the torii was the first image that came to mind. I didn't choose it because of belief. I think I chose it because it represents an entrance, a threshold, a starting point. And somehow that felt right. That might sound a little confusing. I'm not religious, I'm not spiritual, and yet I began with a torii gate. But that kind of contradiction actually feels very familiar to me. It reflects the way I and many Japanese people relate to these symbols. For the second drawing, I chose a shinboku, a sacred tree. Shinboku are usually very old trees that have survived for many years, and they are believed to be placed where kami reside. You will often see a rope called shimenawa wrapped around the trunk, with white paper strips called shide hanging from it. This isn't so much about worship in a strict sense, but about acknowledging that something important is present there. These 2 objects, the torii and the sacred tree, are deeply connected to Shinto, but the way Japanese people relate to them is often very natural and integrated into daily life. It's not about formal belief or trying to be religious. Kami and the practices surrounding them exist in the world, and humans simply notice and respond in subtle ways. It's more about awareness, respect, and being part of the flow of life than about believing or actively choosing to believe. When I was growing up, visiting a shrine at New Year and decorating our home to welcome the Toshigami, the deity of the new year, was simply part of everyday life. It wasn't something we talked about as faith or belief. It was more like a seasonal rhythm, something naturally shared. Now I live in the United States, but when the new year comes, I still think of shrines. I think about torii gates, sacred trees, and the feeling of crossing into a new year. It happens almost automatically without me trying. I think this reflects something broader about Japanese culture. For many people in Japan, spiritual practices and symbols are not about strict belief or personal devotion. They're woven into everyday life, natural and familiar. Visiting shrines, observing seasonal traditions, or simply noticing the natural world with care. These things are part of a shared cultural rhythm. Even for those who don't see themselves as religious or spiritual, these symbols and practices shape the way Japanese people experience the world and the passage of time. Thank you for listening to me. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had moments, places, or symbols that felt meaningful in your life? Even small everyday thing. If you'd like, please share your stories or experiences in the comments.